Greetings everyone, the year is 2017 and it's been quite a while since there was a ship comparison for the newbies. And I'm talking about Marauder ships. Everyone wants to know what ship they should get or train for. So what I'm going to do in this series is review all the Marauders and the pros and cons of each one. The level of technical we can get for each one is astronomical. We can go into details and spreadsheets galore. We're just going to do the basics. Here's the ship. Here's how it works. Here's its pros and cons and different fighting different rats and such like that. So we're not going to get too technical. The important lesson to take out of this is there's no best ship. It's what you would enjoy flying the most that's most important. So with that said, let's begin. In this video, we're going to be reviewing the Golem, the stepping stone after the Raven. This ship has been revered over the years in the majority of EVE as the best. When people ask in the forums, what ship should I fly? I was that person. I skilled for this ship when I first started back in 2008, I think. It's been quite a while. I've spent years in this ship. What I thought was going to be the easiest review of all became the most difficult thus far. And the reason is I've been gone for several years. During that time, the appearance of the ship changed. But not only that, the fitting, how target painters are used today in comparison to how they worked in the past, torp damage, drone space, and it's amazing how different this ship is. It's so different than what it used to be. So I'm going to kind of take you down memory lane first of how I flew it in the past and what it looks like today. Bear with me, this clip is super old, but what you're looking at here is torpedoed splashes. Back in the day, weapons weren't grouped, so each individual torpedo made this splash effect. So when you shot something, you got a wave of all sorts of stuff on the screen as you see here. It was really cool. That's what enticed me in. It was just the neatest of all the ships at that time. During those days, you could easily one-shot a cruiser, two-shot a battleship, and three-shot a frigate with torpedoes. Which brings us to today. Check it out. This thing has missile bays sticking out of it. It looks pretty cool. But look at the damage application for a moment with the torpedoes. It's frankly lackluster to say the least. I was very disappointed almost immediately when I came out and gave this a shot. The frigates are damn near impossible to hit. The cruisers takes too long to kill. And even the battleships, the damage you do to them, like I figured maybe we can one-shot a battleship now. But no, it's not even up to snuff to where I would say torpedoes is a viable option. Now this might upset people because there are people that still fly around with torps. But, you know, with 3 painters or more. But in my opinion, fitting the torps, you lose tank. You can't fit an extra large shield booster on there. You have to go with a large. Technically it can be done, but you would have to invest a great deal of ISK for high-end modules to get it all to fit on there properly. I was quite disappointed with this experience with the torps. And then later on, I got fed up trying to kill these things, and I was running out of cap, and I just decided to warp out and not risk it because it was starting to get ugly. Most of the damage, well, all the damage on the frigates were applied with drone only. So while you do see damage being applied, a majority of this was all done with just drones because the torps were not hitting a thing, and that's not the way it used to be. Rather than risk to sound like a bitter vet, while the Torp Raven will be missed, the new Cruise Raven, hello nurse. Enter the Cruise Missile Raven. This thing is far more efficient and more powerful than it ever was. I was shocked at just how well this performed compared to days past. Let's review some of the pros on this sucker. Well, let me tell you, the tracking is not an issue. You do not have to deal with tracking. It's totally removed out of the equation when you use a Cruise Missile Raven. And I mean, you don't have to, it doesn't matter if they're orbiting close, you can nail them with cruise missiles thanks to the bonus on the target painters. So you don't have to prioritize what ships you fight first. It's usually recommended to knock out the frigates first just to get rid of the scram and web. But you can fire out to 250 km and even greater with sensing boosters and different modules and such to extend your range. But you can literally warp into a mission and hit anything that you need. And the best part is you get to pick the exact damage type that you want to use. Unlike any of the other Marauders, you get to pick and apply 100% of EM, thermal, explosion, whatever you want, with one catch: travel time. When you fire missiles, it takes time to travel to your target. The further away it is, of course, the longer it takes. It doesn't take a great deal, but it starts to account for itself with ammunition. If you're shooting something far away, you might have missiles en route, and then you'll fire again before that set hits, and so you end up wasting ammo, so you have to be kind of watchful for that. Also, if you choose to use T2 ammunition, I found this to be a bit expensive as far as purchasing T2 missiles. If I were to use this long term, I would go with the T1s, just because the T2 pricing isn't very nice in comparison to the other Marauders out there. One other thing that surprised me was back in the day you could field a full set of medium drones or lights. Now you can only use 2 medium drones. So just fill your drone bay up with lights, you're good to go. So as far as training up drone skills, just get those up to 5 and you're good to go with the lights. So it's a good, if you have low drone skills, it won't take you very long to get there with this ship, which is a bonus. However, your agility and time, to get up to speed, is going to be slower than all the others. So if you want speed, this isn't necessarily the best choice, but you can pick anywhere you want to live and apply max damage at the exact damage type that you want, and you can change it anytime. If you decide to go with T2 missiles, you'll need to carry 2 sets, close range and precision. The first one does more damage for bigger hulls, and the other one does greater damage on smaller targets. So you'll see me later in a video switching between the 2 ammo types for that purpose using T2 missiles. Because this is such a highly used ship, I debated whether to post my fit or not, but for the sake of consistency, I will. Just keep in mind this is just something I threw together to illustrate how it performs, and I'm a person that prefers a more tankier fit. So this is why I chose to fit it this way. It's just naturally how I go about it. I want you to note, however, how tight this fit is with the CPU. Now, in all my videos for this, for consistency, I have no implants, boosters, or anything, or links in these, just to show, raw what the fitting looks like. So I have in the highs just cruise missile launchers, a Bastion module, 2 target painters, 3 active hardeners, a extra large shield booster, which you cannot put on a Torp Raven without ridiculous amounts of ISK, a micro warp drive, and 4 ballistic control units on this sucker. And the rigs are just for missile, DPS. Now I should note the fitting for Torp says over 1300 DPS. While that sounds good on paper, you briefly got to saw how that applied. You don't get to use it, so don't get excited when you start fooling with fitting tools and you think you're going to get that. You're not. So my assessment on the Golem cruise missile fit. It's an awesome ship. It does max damage. You can pick your types. It doesn't matter what rat you fight. You don't have to deal with tracking. However, you're going to drive a little bit slower, and there's a lot of dedicated skills. And what I mean by that is all the other ones, Marauders in the game, all use guns. So when you train all those support skills to 5, they carry over. So you have a lot to show for those skills once you learn them. This ship, you have missile skills, and they're separate. They don't carry over. So while there are other missile boats in the game, sure, if you want to get into bigger ships down the line, you have to spend a lot of dedication to get this perfect. Whereas if you train for one of the other ones, you'd have an opportunity to move over to those ships much faster than you would starting from scratch with, say, just with no gun skills because you trained all on missiles. Just something to keep in mind. If this is something that you think you would enjoy the most, by all means go for it. I personally went the missile boat route starting out. At the time for PvE, it was the best. Not so much for PvP in those days. Solo, they weren't great. But now that things have come a long way in the missile department. So if this is the style of play that you want to go for, there's a lot of forgiving mechanics about using this ship that makes it easier to deal with all the mission types. That said, I'm going to go ahead and show a clip now. It doesn't matter what mission I do because we can apply max damage. That's the benefit of this ship. So enjoy, and I hope this has been informative for you, and you have yourself a good evening.